So what happens with architectural engineering, he's able to visualize the completed project before it's even completely conceptualized and before all the plans are actually completed. What is the ultimate goal that we're doing for the home? What are we looking to achieve as a completed residence? Prior to purchasing the property, we're going to have a lot of communication with the owners themselves and both with the real estate team as well as their finance team to be able to understand this is the property I'm buying and this is what I can create on the property. We have a client in Star Island, existing 12,000 square foot home, but it's a 40,000 square foot lot, so they could be able to build an additional 8,000 square feet. The cost to build that is going to be $8 million. Purchase price of the land was $30 million, but the terminal value of a 20,000 square foot house is at $4,000 square foot. So you're looking at $80 million terminal value. You're effectively adding the $30 million purchase price plus $8 to $10 million build. They're creating almost $30 to $40 million in value. What is the square footage that we could build? How much is it going to cost to build it? What's the carry cost in timing? And that's really the analysis that happens on every single one of our projects. There's a disconnect in thinking if they're building for myself, the terminal value is not important. There's no reason, regardless of the wealth within that family, that someone is going to over improve a property when they don't need to.
Manny. Hey, how you doing?
Oh,
hey,
fantastic.
Good to see you, man. Thank God. Yeah. You know, you got one of the best locations over here.
Thank you. We're remodeling.
I saw your video. And
yeah, so we're kind of, so all this will be paneled with millwork. We'll have stone on those walls and, you know, we'll have a big pivot door. We're having, you know, marble on the whole back. So we'll be completely done in probably the next 6 weeks.
You know, I recognize you in San Francisco in the place.
Yes, at the Rolls Royce
because
house.
of your shoes.
Really? I go to Pebble Beach every year for the car show.
Oh, really? That's our first time.
It's fantastic. I've gone for 10 years. So my two best friends are avid car collectors. It's our annual trip. So we go every year we normally just go Wednesday through Sunday. It's a short trip, but it's very fun.
What do you guys use for charter, by the way?
My friend has a Falcon 2000.
Oh,
so
okay.
he has his own plane.
You can stand in the plane?
Falcon 2000? Yeah, it's 14 passenger.
Oh, it's big plane.
It's big. He paid 14.
Wow, yeah, we flew with a Citation 10
Yeah.
X. You know, that's how I charter. You know? But I want to buy something, but I charter right now. I understand it's cheaper to buy sometimes, depend on the plane, right?
So when you're buying a plane, you get to do accelerated depreciation. So you're able to accelerate the depreciation year one. Mm-hmm. So give you an example. Let's say you're buying a $14 million plane. You're placing $2 million down. When you're buying this plane, you're able to accelerate the depreciation of the $14 million in year one.
Wow.
So $14 million, as an example, depreciated from your income, you're getting 20% reduction in taxes, $2.8 million. So your entire down payment is basically offsetting your taxes, as long as you're making over $20 million a year.
See, that's how the rich gets richer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Smart motivation. So Daniel, tell us kind of shortly about your background. How did you meet Manny? How did you get really into the industry?
I knew that it was something that I wanted to do. I know out of college, I wanted to work doing high-end custom homes.
You just basically were interested in college to get into construction, basically. So you study engineering, basically, right?
Yeah.
Structural engineer or?
Similar to structural engineering, it's architectural engineering.
Architectural engineer. You understand how to read plans, you read, right? So you do all those kind of due diligence and pre-construction. Okay, on the job site.
So what happens with architectural engineering, he's able to visualize the completed project before it's even completely conceptualized and before all the plans are actually completed. So what happens in the ultra luxury homes that we're building, a lot of times the architecture will come in and we still don't have interior design, lighting plans, a lot of the interior finishes. So we have to be able to understand what the construction documents say, but visualize what the interior designer, the lighting team, and the rest of the team members are being able to do. So in the pre-construction, the team focuses on understanding what is phase one, which is the structure of the home, the MEPs of the home, and getting it effectively the vanilla box of the home, but at the same time planning for the interior finishes and what the interior designers looking to conceive and be able to complete. And so that's where his background's very effective, because he's able to look at it from not just a plan perspective, but what is the ultimate goal that we're doing for the home? So what are we looking to achieve as a completed residence?
Right, yeah, which is great, which is obviously, that's kind of the missing link sometimes between, the kind of the transition between the pre-construction to design and eventually execution, right? Which is the day-to-day operation, which is great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some of the homes that, he's working on, we end up having, big NDAs on some of the homes, but one of the
Right.
homes that he's working on is, over $100 million residence on the bay. Another project we just received our building permit on is the largest oceanfront home in Miami-Dade County. It's 2.5 acres, 25,000 square feet of beachfront, and we're doing a $20 million renovation, and the home is going to be listed completed at $125 million.
Right. That's a spec
It's
home?
going to be, it's the existing owners owned it. The father, ended up getting the entire plans approved, and the family decided that it's the children had children of their own, so they ended up moving out from the home, and they decided to complete the project and put it on the market for sale.
So most of your clients, you would say it's more end users or more like investors, or
I would say
a mix?
60 to 70% of our clients are end users. They are building for themselves, but all of them want to maximize value or create value within the process.
Oh, got it. So most of the time, the clients come to you, or you kind of more like in the transition phase, working with the realtor when they buy the property, or with the architect and so forth?
Well, most of the time, it's either the realtor, the finance team, or the client that contacts us to be able to understand the property and what they could either build on the property, renovate on the property, and how much that cost is going to be. So prior to purchasing the property, we're going to have a lot of communication with both the owners themselves and both with the real estate team as well as their finance team to be able to understand, this is the property I'm buying and this is what I can create on the property. So if you're buying, we have a client in Star Island, for example, who just looked at purchasing the property. It was existing 12,000 square foot home, but it's a 40,000 square foot lot, so they could be able to build an additional 8,000 square feet. If they're building that 8,000 square feet at $1,000 a square foot, the purchase price, the cost to build that is going to be $8 million. The purchase price of the land was $30 million, but the terminal value of a 20,000 square foot house is at $4,000 a square foot. So you're looking at $80 million terminal value. So you're effectively adding the $30 million purchase price plus $8 to $10 million build, they're creating almost $30 to $40 million in value.
Right. So you're able to identify those details before they actually pull the trigger.
Before they pull the trigger.
Right.
To be able to understand that on every single one of the transactions.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of basically kind of part of our process, obviously, with with the experts we work with in each area, which is obviously perfect, for what you guys do,
Yes,
So-
to be able to do that. And then on the pre-construction side, that's what happens consistently, right? What is the square footage that we could build? How much is it going to cost to build it? What's the carry cost in timing? And that's really the analysis that happens on every single one of our projects. Sharon has a project in Coconut Grove where in that particular project, client purchased a permitted home that we have. That permitted house, you were able to subdivide it into two properties. So they purchased the property for $7 million in the water. We worked on subdividing the property, and we're going to be building two $5 million houses. Land cost ends up being 3.5 plus 5 million is 8.5, and the terminal value there is 12.9 per home.
Who came up with the idea to separate?
So it was a collaboration between our team and the new buyer. They discussed what are the different construction cost options of building the existing house and one footprint versus building two homes. Then we had our zoning team, which is at Greenberg and Traurig, a large law firm here, to say what's the viability of that, and our conversations with the city mayor, Francis Suarez, and with the zoning officials yielded that this lot is subdividable and we could be able to build two residences on this one property, which each lot size would be still almost 20,000 square feet.
Greenberg and Traurig. I think, we're actually meeting our friend Kobe tomorrow. Kobe Karp. You work with Kobe,
of
right?
course.
I think he mentioned also that Greenberg and Traurig.
Traurig, yes.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
And we have 4 projects with Kobe.
Yeah, he mentioned you're talking with you a lot.
That's Kobe's a great guy, good friend, and we're doing Rick Ross's house with him.
I saw the videos. He's doing a lot of videos with Rick Ross. He's always he's always posting, right?
This is Kobe himself, Kobe Karp, CEO. He don't leave his office for nothing.
Should we call you Fat Boy or what should we call you?
Why not? Fat boy.
Yeah, so Rick purchased a home for $35 million.
Star Island, yeah.
He did a $20 million renovation, and he's already rejected offers upwards of $75 million.
He wants to sell it?
No, he does not. He will not sell it.
Okay.
I actually had a client that asked him, would he take $75 million? He said, I don't want to sell it. I love my home.
Yeah.
I don't need the money. Thank you, but no thank you.
That's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And I think it's important because a lot of times there's a confusion on the custom home market where there's a disconnect in thinking if they're building for myself, the terminal value is not important.
Right. Super important. Super
And
important.
it's
Yeah.
always critically important. There's no reason, regardless of the wealth within that family, that someone is going to over improve a property when they don't need to. So it's a big, either it's a component of teaching as well as a component of understanding what that market can hold to know what you could design to be able to build with.
Yeah, because a guy like you deliver. Some people think like, oh, it's a $10 million, it's a $30 million construction budget. Every dollar that's being spent is taken for granted because it's a $30 million budget. Every dollar is actually being perfectly used
to be able to create that terminal value, to be able to understand. Because if you're doing a property, and whether the property is a $100 million house or whether it's a $10 or $15 million house, our project minimum is $5 million. So we don't look at construction projects under $5 million.
Got it.
So we reject probably 90% of the clients that come to us, because they have to understand that we have a project minimum of $5 million construction cost, not value of the house.
Yeah, and it's actually, by the way, this is actually realistic value for construction budget, because some people don't understand what it takes, to create what they want, right? So we get the clients that come to us, they show us like that $100 million property, and they get like $500,000 budget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Or during the design phase, right? They're coming up with all kind of special features and automations, and those are in the millions sometimes.
100%. So we have a client yesterday called me, $25 million house, 12,000 square feet, and he wants to remodel the house, but the comparables in that area, they're at $2,000 a square foot. So you're looking at the terminal values about $50 million. Now, to renovate that property, you're looking closer to $500 to $600 a square foot of just the interiors without adding any square footage. So his construction costs are going to be close to $7 million. So his all-in price is 25 plus 7 plus 1 year of carry, not what his original idea was, is 25 plus. If I spend $3 million, if you're on a 12,000 square foot house, you're going to get nothing of finishes at $3 million.
Right. So sometimes spending more, it's actually more beneficial, right, than spending less, right? So sometimes you spend more, sometimes you actually pay more for the property, right? But you can leverage much more.
Correct.
So I like the phrase terminal value. I like it. Yeah. It's a good phrase.
Terminal value is critical, and design creates value. So a lot of times owners will look at designers and they'll see design fees. And design fees, some of our designers that we work with will charge a $500,000 fee.
Right.
Some of our celebrity designers can charge $1 million fee.
Yeah, Chad Oppenheim, for example, right? He's got also a minimum, by the way,
does.
right? you know what I mean? So.
And what will happen is a buyer or an owner who doesn't understand the value of design, we advocate strongly to work with the top designers that want to create your vision and build that vision. And a lot of times, I think the biggest mistake that a lot of owners do is they discount the designer's value. So they end up obtaining an architect or an interior designer who's going to be the most cost effective. That will the future value of that property is determined by that design. And you look at properties that have done the top-notch designers continue to break records. And the reason for that is not just luck. It's not even the property, it's that design. So capturing the highest level of design generally yields 4 to 1 on return on investment of what you're actually spending.
So a couple of suggestions from me. You need to write a book, first of all. This is a lucky guy to listen to this guy all day long. That's a mindful of information, by the way, right? So you're very lucky, by the way. His knowledge is second to none. And the way he's explaining things, it's one thing to know what he knows, but second thing to explain it. And he knows that. He knows that, right?
We're working with a lot of designers from California that are relocating. So we have one project, a client purchased a home for $34 million, just hired Clement's Design out of Los Angeles. We have another project with Jake Arnold. We have another project with Form Design Group. So we have a lot, which is now Citizens Artist. We have a lot of the top designers in the world that, from California that are doing projects here in Florida, which are amazing designers. And we become the execution of their vision.
What you do is very unique to what you do, actually, right? So you've been in the article of Real Deal on
Yes.
right, the 7 or 8 top developers or general contractors,
Builders, yes.
builders in South
Builders,
Florida, right?
yes.
But the other ones, they're a little bit different in the way they operate. You actually in the business of providing service. That's what I'm. That's
Correct.
What I mean,
We are
right?
in the business of providing service,
Right.
of building to many of our, a lot of billionaire clients. The Real Deal and the cover of my magazine's story was, billionaire builder, because a lot of we're focused on creating ultimate service to building and executing for designers.
That's another question. Why you don't have your you don't. I mean, do you own the spec house and your own deals?
We don't like to develop our own projects because effectively it's almost competing with our own clients.
Right,
So we
yes.
focus really on building for clients, and our under our logo says built around you, and that's really our focal
How do you
point.
really, how do you say it? Say no to the temptations, right? Because I'm sure there is a lot of deals that come to you.
I invest in a lot of triple net assets that I own myself and I create, just as primarily investments.
Investments.
So we focus a lot, and we stay very busy with building for clients, which is our forte and what we
stand
focus
behind
on.
what you do, so you don't basically, you don't compete with your clients essentially, right? Which is
Exactly.
great, yeah.
So that's our focus, and also the fact that we do not handle design, but yet we manage the design process, which is a unique component, because a lot of builders will say, "This is the architect you need to use," or "This is a designer." For us, we love Kobe. We do a lot of projects with Kobe. We also love working with, the Jake Arnolds or the Clements, or a lot of the top designers in the world that we're able to collaborate with them. And really, the first question we ask is, what's the design style that they want to obtain, and how can we put together a team that's going to meet that client's objective, both from a cost perspective and design perspective.
Because it seems like a lot of designers or architects, generally speaking, when the client works with the different teams, right, architectural team, design team, nobody wants to be responsible
Exactly.
for the end result. It seems like you basically taking responsibility, which that's what I like.
Yes.
I want one guy to be responsible for all those components, right? And most people don't want to be responsible. They want, what I'm saying? And that's sometimes it's against the owner interest.
As I told Daniel and tell our whole team all the time, is there's only one person we could point the finger at, and it's ourselves.
Right.
If the architect is a team member, the interior designer is a team member, the craftsman installing the stone is a team member. So the only person anyone at MV Group could point their finger at is themselves, because we want to make sure that the team we're assembling understands the value of what we're trying to build and what we're trying to execute. And we have to take responsibility for all those people within that team.
So seems like the design direction in the office going great. You guys been here for how many years?
14 years.
14 years.
Yeah.
That's the first time.
So we used to have design centers in every building. So we used to do, before we were doing homes, we were doing a lot of interiors in buildings. So we had many offices.
So you added interior design, like in-house?
No, not interior design, construction with whatever designer. So if you, at Armani, for example,
Right.
we had a design center. If you were the first buyer at Armani, we built 46 units there. So for the end users, we were the official company of Giorgio Armani. We oversaw all the common areas. We oversaw the developer on the execution, and we were the brand. We're the in-house company if you wanted an officially Giorgio Armani designed residence.
Got it.
Same at St. Regis Bal Harbor, same at Continuum, same at Murano Grand, at many of the top buildings. So we would have micro design centers in every single building. 8 years ago, we transitioned that because the banking requirements forced lenders to be able to have the units had to be finished with flooring in order to get financing. When that occurred, we transitioned entirely. And because we had individual penthouse owners that we have done for the interior designers in many penthouses, we had worked with a lot of the top interior designers, we started transitioning those design influences and design collaborations into building of homes.
You don't do construction for high rises? No. But back then, when you did Armani, you did the finishes only?
Only interiors.
Only interiors.
Only
Yeah,
interiors.
construction.
Which is why our strength on building is because of the quality of interiors and craftsmanship.
And why you never got into high rise?
High rises create litigation. It's a pool.
You like the good life?
I definitely like to be able to build and be friends with our clients,
Yeah.
as opposed to a high rise where you have a lot of associations and different people creating a environment of litigation. So we're friends with all of our clients instead of ever being sued. So we focus on not being sued, stay away from attorneys as much as we can.
Well, some people don't know when you have a litigation with an attorney, the only one that wins is the attorney.
100%.
Yeah,
so that's why I stay away
Yeah.
from all attorneys that are practicing attorneys. It literally our contracts. I always say to our clients, I go, most of the time when someone redlines our contract, I say it doesn't bother me because the contract's just going to show the scope of work and it's never going to be utilized for anything. Because if you're building quality product and you're responsive, there's no reason for an attorney. The only one who wins with attorneys is the
100%.
attorney.
Yeah.
So we stay away from all high rises. High rises always will have litigation.
By the way, I really like your logo. I know like the logo is very important. I've seen that logo like in your video. Like
Yeah.
I think I saw it somewhere in a building or something.
Yes.
Where is that exactly?
That is on a lot of the commercial properties that I own. So I own a lot of commercial properties which have our logo on them.
When you say commercial, you mean like offices or?
No, like retail commercial and
really?
offices. So I build and create triple net leases, but it's not
okay.
something, it's just my personal assets, just
Yeah,
somewhere to
So
invest
that's why I
money
saw
in.
the logo. Yeah, which I really like the logo. So I'm sure there is a lot of care because obviously as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, we create a lot of logos. Might be minor for a lot of people, but it's kind of a big deal.
It is.
Right? That's you right there on the shirt, right?
It is to create, in order to create the brand correctly.
But also it's kind of also from your websites and your logo, I can see that personality is kind of transferred into those assets. You know what I mean? You see it. Like when you go to a website, you see that energy. What I see on the website before and the logo, it's kind of transition exactly from your vision and how you kind of
and you will also see that transition into our job sites. So the idea is that I explained that the biggest form of marketing is what happens on the job site, how clean the job site is, how proud each one of the workers and craftsmen are in what they're doing. Because if someone comes in and they're having an unhappy day, they can grab a piece of stone and just shaking that piece of stone the wrong way could chip a corner.
Right.
That chip on that corner can affect that slab for years to come. So we focus on constantly letting our team members know, and all of our subcontractors are not subcontractors. They are part of our team. When they're working on our job site, which is primarily what they're doing, is an extension of us, and they need to have that same energy in every piece of stone that they're installing in every single home.
Right, because sometimes, like I always talk about working with good people, nice people. If the guy, that tile guy that's installing the tile is not happy, is not working with a smile, so to speak, it can be an issue.
100%.
Regardless of how much you implement, and so forth, the energy needs to be there, right? Like each day. Right?
The energy always has to be there. I'm going to give you a real example. I had a team member of ours that's on the field, and we were discussing stone and the importance of having the right energy when you're installing every piece of marble. He tells me, I'm taking the bus every day because my car is not working. And we said, let's rent you a car while you're on this project, because if you are waiting for the bus in the rain outside, it doesn't matter how positive you positively are, you're going to get to that job site with a little bit of negativity, frustration, and you might take it out on the project. So I had our CFO renegotiate his lease, get his lease done, and in the interim, rent him a car for those 2-week period, because we want the energy on that job site to be of the utmost positive. So every piece of stone that he's laying is able to be done of true craftsmanship.
Incredible. So that's what, guys, a pure example of going above and beyond. And sometimes those are not directly the things that client maybe pay for out of pocket, but Manny is going out of his way to make sure he's taking care of his employees, his subcontractors, that they working with a smile and they are happy, and the execution is just being perfected. Obviously, because of those maybe silly details, sounds like silly, but for those guys are their entire world, right? Like
it's a critical component, because I said you can have that one slab, that one piece of stone. If it has one chip because it was grabbed incorrectly, it will be chipped for eternity. Otherwise, you have to repurchase the entire slab.
100%. Yesterday, we had a video on a project that I'm building in Atherton for a client. It's also $10 million and up construction budget and so forth. And we talked about the slab pieces, right? And the energy that it brings to transform the property. And like when you go to the slab yard, when you have those veins, right, and you select that piece, it's become part of you, right? For the owner, it's very, very personal.
100%.
Right, and you fabricate those the slabs, and it's a big pieces, and those are super important. So that's exactly what we talked about, just like kind of expanding on the conversation. but more in depth, of the actual person that's fabricating and installing that slab. And it's a big component, obviously, of those projects, right?
It's a major component to understand the love that is given to each of the installation pieces of each one of the items, whether it's a slab, whether it's a stone piece, whether it's wood flooring, how it's assembled, and the team, and as you mentioned, the energy that's put forth while it's being assembled is critical.
Yeah, incredible. All right, so I think
Thank you
beautiful
so much.
conversation. Do you want to show us anything else in the office, or we good? We good
No,
for
I
now
think
with
we're
that?
good because we're still
Yeah, we're
redoing
good,
a
yeah,
lot,
right?
and then we'll.
Okay, so we have a perfect schedule for the next few days.
Thank
Nice
you
to
so
meet
much.
brother.
Very nice to meet
sure,
you.
man. Nice to meet you.